Hi folks, welcome to the events and activities section of committee training, and this will teach you all about the bulk of planning and promoting your events and activities for your society. So starting with the basics, what kind of stuff can you run? Obviously you'll have ideas yourself as committee, and this will massively depend on what kind of society you run, but here's just a few ideas on the screen for what kind of events our societies have run in the past. So conferences, workshops, debates, trips, revision sessions, social events, conventions, campaigns, projects, trips abroad, games nights, balls, celebration events, guest speaker talks, days of importance, movie nights. There's such a range of things that you guys can do, and so you should hopefully never be stuck for ideas. But if you are stuck, a few tips is one, speak to your coordinator, and we can talk about what your society might have done in the past, in previous years, but also look at what other societies are doing, and talk about perhaps some collaborations with them or running a similar event yourself. So when it comes to planning events, which we'll talk about first, you have to make some key considerations which you should think about way before you actually run the event. So all of these things you want to think about at least 1 week before the event itself, but preferably more if possible. So room bookings, if you're looking to run an event on campus, you need to book a room, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Timings, so when is the event going to start at, and if it's going to start at this time, is your committee going to arrive slightly before then so that you can make sure everything runs to time. Content, so if you're running quite a big event such as a conference, how are you going to fill that time? Have you got an agenda or an itinerary, and who's in charge of planning that? Inviting guests or speakers, so I'll talk a little bit in a few slides time about our policy on guest speakers. Equipment, so do you need to buy anything for your event, and if so, you need to be thinking about that way before the event itself, or like I say, at least 1 week in advance. Ticketing, so is it a free event or are you going to sell tickets to it? Again, we can show you how to set those tickets up on the website for you to sell. Really important to consider accessibility as well, so making sure your event is open to all ARU students regardless of their background or their abilities, and also health and safety, which Reese is going to touch on in a separate video as well. So if you've got guest speakers coming to your society event, you must follow our guest speaker policy put in place in accordance with the university and the government guidelines for guest speakers at university events. Before your event, even if it's online, you must fill out a guest speaker form which can be found on your activities dashboard, and I'll show you where that is in just a few slides time. Guest speaker forms must be submitted at least 4 weeks in advance of your event for external speakers, or 2 weeks if their speaker is a member of staff at ARU. If you don't submit these forms in time, your event may need to be cancelled or postponed, so it's really important to make sure you plan well in advance and get those forms filled in. Communal equipment, so we've got board games, consoles and TV monitors, which you can borrow from the SU. These need to be booked in advance with your coordinator, and are obviously booked on a first come first served basis. You will obviously be responsible for cleaning and looking after the equipment, and if you return it in an unacceptable state, or if you don't return it, then obviously the society will need to pay for the cost of these items. So like I say, you need to use the website to plan your activities. This includes getting an activity approved by your coordinator, getting rooms booked in, and submitting guest speaker forms. For sports clubs as well, this will be how you do your registers. So I'll just show you how that works now. So for this website example, we're going to use the Dive Club to show you how it all works. So to get to your admin tools, you need to go to your society page on the website through the Join a Society page, and also make sure you're logged in so that you can see these admin buttons in the corner. This kind of stuff is a lot easier to do on a laptop or a tablet rather than a phone, so I'd recommend using one of those. You click on admin and then click your society name admin, and this will bring you to a page that looks like this, where you'll get a membership breakdown as well as a range of different admin tools. Just a note to not worry about this section here on finance. This is just part of a system that we don't use, so it's not a true reflection of your membership balance. So for anything to do with planning activities, you need to use this activities button just here. If you can't see the activities button, or if you've got any problems navigating to this page, just let your coordinator know, and we can make sure you've got all the relevant access. So under activities, this will be your kind of home dashboard, where you can see a history of any activities that you've planned in the past, or anything you've got upcoming. So click all activities if you haven't got any already, as this will allow you to create a new activity. From here, you simply put in all of the relevant information to get your activity planned in. So you can toggle the event organizer depending on who from your committee is running that event. You can give it a title, so we'll just call this diving, and then you just pop in all the relevant details. Just remember with the time, it's a 24-hour clock, so you can't put like 4 p.m, you have to put 1600, like so. So just pop these details in. And then in this section, it shows you what requests you can make based on what event you're hosting. So if you'd like to book a room on campus, you would then tick this box here. If you've got a guest speaker coming, you would then tick this box here, etc., etc. Same goes for off-campus activities as well. The key thing with this whole form is to not worry too much about detail, because this is not being published on the SU website to all of your members. This just gets sent to your coordinator so that we can help you plan your activity, and we can help get everything approved. So you don't have to write a full event description here that you would put on your social media. That all comes later. Anything you do put in here, like I say, goes straight to your coordinator. So if you do think some context would be helpful, then you can put it in these note sections just here. So once you save and submit that, this will send the overall activity to your coordinator, and then depending on what you've requested, the relevant forms will then come up here. So if you requested a room on campus, you can then click in the room booking form, and it will show you the deadline here of when you need to submit it by, so that you meet that 1 week deadline. So much like form filling in general, you would just fill in all of the details here, all of your requirements, choose what kind of room you would need, make sure you're filling in all of the mandatory sections marked with a red star, and then you would save and submit that to your coordinator. The same goes for your other requests. So if you've had a guest speaker, remember you need at least 4 weeks notice for those guest speaker bookings, and then you'll see an edit history just there. You'll get notified by email when your coordinator has approved your forms, booked your rooms, etc. But it's always good just to check back and keep an eye on it. These status sections will change to a green approved button once everything's been put through for you. And of course, if you've got any issues with this system, as it is a new system, then you can contact your coordinator. So just a few more things to consider when planning your events. Non-members are welcome to attend your events, but we must be provided with a list of attendees before the event takes place. Obviously, if you sell tickets through the website, then that list is generated for you automatically. So I'd really encourage you to use the website as much as possible. Guests, of course, must still follow the guidelines and the code of conduct that is set by the university. Under no circumstances should you be reheating homemade food on campus to give to your society members, as this is a violation of hygiene regulations. You can serve food at your events, but this must be done in a safe and hygienic manner. So think things like individual portions rather than communal portions, clean hands, so hand sanitizer is available from the SU reception, gloves for those serving, and making sure you're keeping a clean serving area. For large-scale events such as balls, conferences, competitions, and anything with lots of attendees requires much more planning. So it's always good to organise a meeting with your coordinator as soon as you decide to hold this event, because there's nothing that we can do that's too early. So there's no such thing as too forward planning. Work with your coordinator to set out a budget plan. So think about external caterers, venues, how much they will cost, entertainment as well. All of these things will require deposits to be paid early on. And like I say, be organised. You can never plan too early. Use our event pack and use the activities dashboard to help you plan and set up your budget. So a few things to consider to make all of your events and activities as accessible as possible. So starting at the top there, you could include short access breaks in particularly your longer activities, a separate quiet space, make it easy for attendees to leave at any time if they choose to do so. If you're catering, make sure that you provide a range of dietary requirements, and if you want to find out what your dietary requirements of your members are, then you can ask your coordinator to add this as an option on your tickets so that you can find out that information as people purchase a ticket. Aim to make meetings as accessible to those who can't attend in person, so you might choose to live stream your events online. You might consider access needs when creating and distributing online resources, so even things like making sure text is clearly visible, it's not on an image background that makes it hard to read, things like that. All event publicity will include a designated point of contact who can be consulted for further access information. So if people want to talk to you about their own access needs, they should be able to do that in a private and confidential way, so making that as easy as possible for them to do so. And the SU also provides an inclusion fund to help remove the barriers for students when engaging with your events and activities. So if a student says they're not able to afford a ticket, or they're not able to cover the cost of childcare or transport to your event, get them to get in touch with the Students' Union, and we can help them overcome those barriers. It's really important that as we kind of move into the new year, that we keep COVID in mind. So face coverings currently are still recommended in all shared spaces in the university. Hand sanitizer is still available across the campuses. When you're holding meetings, keep the windows and doors open if possible. Obviously, holding meetings outside in the summer is still a safer way in terms of COVID as well. Make sure you book a big enough venue for students to distance if they choose to, and please continue to regularly test at home using the lateral flow tests.
Hello, in the next section we're going to be talking about promoting your events. So using the website to promote your events is a great tool, and what happens is when you set up an event, it goes onto the What's On page on the website. So here you can browse through all the events that the union put on, and also things that societies put on. So it's a great way of reaching new people and getting new members, because this goes out to everyone. So to set up an event, I'm going to use the Dive Club as an example. You will go to, make sure you're logged into the website, and you go to your main page. And here you will click on your page admin and go to your Dive Club admin tools, or your society admin tools. Once you're in here, obviously you've already set up your activity and had that approved by your coordinator. So from here you want to click on the events, which is another little calendar. Once you're in here, you will just need to add a new event. So I'm just going to do a test event here, so test event. So name of your event, and then you put the dates and times in. So let's say and get those times in. So once you've got your dates and times in, you can choose if it's a repeated event. If you're going to do it every week, then obviously click on once a week. You can choose months or days. So if it is something that's recurring, make sure you get that in there. If it's just a one-off event though, just leave those dates as is. Here you can put a short tagline. So, test event. And then pop in your location. If you've booked a room in the university, this will have been approved by your coordinator already, so you can pop that location in there. And then if it is online, then you can put the information in here, and joining information. So if it's on Teams, you can put the link in here and then just add in any information that you need there. Right, so here, the event types, this is where you will want to tick where it is. So if you're doing something in Cambridge, you would tick Cambridge, and also from Chelmsford. And then there's different categories here, so you can list them under whatever you need, really. Here you can add an image, so if you've created a logo for the event, or you want to add an image of your society, you can put that in here. So permissions, this is who can see the event on the page. So if you want it to be open to all, obviously select everyone. If it's only for kind of AOS students and staff, click on logged in users only. And then you've got members only and admins only. So the admins only will just be the kind of committee, and also us as coordinators that will see that. And then your display dates. So don't get these confused with the event dates. The display dates are when it can be viewed on the website. So obviously, if you're selling tickets and things, you want the display dates to be earlier than the event itself, and make sure it covers like a decent range of time so that people can see when it's happening and get organised for that. So if we're doing our event on 30th of Jan, let's say we want them to be on sale from the 1st. Until the 30th. And then again here you can just put a bit more information about your event. So fuller details, a bit more information, get people excited about it. You can add pictures in here and things, so whatever you like, just to grab people's attention. And then you just save it. Okay, so now we've got our event set up, we can add our tickets. So what we want to do is go back to your admin tools and click on tickets. And here we then need to make sure that our dates are within the range of our event, because at the moment it's showing no events. So let's just put those in. So we'll say 2022, and then until, let's go 2022. Okay, and then just apply those dates, and then we will see our test event here. And what we want to do then is add ticket. So we're going to click on add ticket. So the ticket type, the only option you have is for members. If you wanted to have members at your event, non-members at your event also, what you would need to do is get in touch with your coordinator and we can set up the non-member tickets for you. But in this instance, we're going to select members. And then you put your price in, so whatever you want to charge, so let's say £2. And then on sale from, now this can be whenever really, probably time with your display dates of your events on the website. Let's just say from now until the day of the event. Say the morning, so it gives us time to check guest lists and things like that. So the sales limit is just the amount of tickets you want to sell for the event as a whole. So if you've got a venue which caters for 200 people, then you only want to sell 200 tickets. And then your per person limit is just how many tickets per person you can sell. Generally we just put one here, but that is up to you. So to keep track of your tickets and who's buying what, we can go to sales report. So back in your admin tools, select the icon that says sales reports. And again, select your date ranges. So let's go 15th, 01, 2022. So the sales report, this shows you all of the details of what's been purchased. So any tickets sales you've got here will come into this section. If you wanted to see who's purchased tickets, you can click on Purchasers Report, and that will just show you a list of members or non-members that have purchased tickets, and you can get details of that there. Customizations is just if you add any extra details to your tickets. So if there's dietary requirements or anything like that, that will come up in your customization section. Okay, so that covers our events and tickets. Your presence on campus is also a really important way of reaching new members and being discovered as a society. You don't just have to do this in Freshers' Fair. You can book a stall in any of the uni areas at any time of the year. Just get in touch with your coordinator and we'll help you with that. Posters are really great as well, but there are some things to consider when sorting out your posters. So make sure you've got your dates, times and location on there. Make sure there's a price if that's relevant. You need to put where people can buy a ticket. Contact details for your group so people get in touch. Please don't put any personal contact details on there, just if your group's got like a group Gmail. Make sure you've got your logo on there. It creates your brand and creates your identity. A Students' Union logo, and also you will need to bring your printed promotional materials to the SU first to be approved. Once they've been approved, we will then stamp them all so they can then go up around the university. So some things to avoid with your posters are copyrighted images. So images owned by someone else. And that's things like if you go on Google Images, like a lot of the time they are owned by someone else. So just try and avoid things like that. But you can use sites like pexels.com or unsplash.com to find uncopyrighted images. Making typos and editing errors, please ask someone to proofread for you before you print. It's really important because it can look unprofessional, and sometimes typos can be off-putting for people. And please don't use any offensive or insensitive language or images. So some social media top tips here. Tag your elected officers, the main union pages and relevant university departments, and ask them to share your events. So here are the tags for the officers here. Engage with other societies, posts, and they'll do the same for you. Share events advertising early. People need time to organise their plans. Write down and save the login details for your social media accounts so that they can be passed on next year. Alternatively, you can make one of us an admin of your page, so that can be transferred easily too. So some social media top tips. Your posts represent your society, so do not use these pages to share personal opinions. Posts made on your society page must comply with the Student Code of Conduct. Any post deemed inappropriate or offensive will result in a disciplinary and further sanctions. What goes online stays online, so nothing is totally private or undetectable. Only post things that you know you want to keep. And ask members or guests before taking pictures for your social media pages. It's really important that you have consent of anyone in images on your social media. So a few ideas that you can use on social media. You've got Instagram, they've got stories, live streaming, Q&A stickers, photos and videos of students at a society, club or event, but again, make sure you have that permission. Photos can be really engaging on social media, so it's a great thing to have as long as you've got the permission. Polls are really great, asking students, what they prefer in different circumstances. It can help with your events to kind of tailor your events if you've done a poll first. Social listening, so that means monitoring social media for mentions of your activity and then engaging with it. And content, so things asking your followers, like, what do you think about this? Which activity should we do? Create open discussions on a topic. Things like Feedback Friday or Throwback Thursday, whatever. All of these things are great just to engage people and get people talking with you and communicating. And please be responsive. There's nothing worse than messaging a brand or company and receiving a reply in 5 working days. So be present and keep on top of things. That's the end of that section. There's quite a lot of information in there, so feel free to watch any part of it again, and then check the questions below and test your knowledge.